Hello everybody, welcome to the show. I'm SM Sith Lord, coming to you as RoboCop. That's a really cool game that came out recently, by the way. And this is the AArcade Meetup. We're on the moon over here, and we are going to be talking about some AArcade's developments, what's coming next in development, and we'll be talking about the Hammer Jam that somebody here in attendance actually participated in, so come with me into the building here. What's up, everybody? Okay, so I have a bug in AArcade where I have to fix people's avatars. So everybody has a broken avatar face right now. That's my bad. But I have a robotic memory, and I know that this is Eko in this top hat, who is also in the Discord with us. You can see on the wall there. What's up, Eko? How are you doing today?
Hello.
Hey, and we have Mexi over here. I wonder what his face would look like. Now, I'm really curious. But Mexi, thank you for joining. He is in the Twitch chat. Hopping up and down. Thank you for that feedback there. So let me hop on the stage here. Everybody can grab some snacks if they're hungry. I have the studio camera set up, which I'll demonstrate for the stream right now. And when I press buttons on my numpad, I can clip around. There's the outside camera. We got a couple inside cameras. The wall cam. And the Sith cam. Isn't that cool? So if you are recording your own videos and you want to do that kind of stuff, it's actually really easy. Let me demonstrate that. You just float around in no clip mode or any mode, any first person mode, don't be in third person. And you press Control and then any number on your numpad. You can do it while you're a guest in multiplayer even. So I'm going to fly somewhere and then do that. I'm going to press Control 6. Okay, and then I just go back to regular mode and I act like everything's normal. And then at any time after that, I can press 6 on my numpad and it clips my camera directly to wherever I set it. And you got 10 buttons, 10 numbers at least, on your numpad. So you can set up all kinds of cameras and do like a podcast kind of thing, depending on what your setup's like. Okay, so that's a pretty new thing that came, that was actually in there for a couple updates, although I forgot to mention it until I believe the last update. And I'm not going to just recap all the stuff that was in the last update. Let's look forward. Let's talk about what's in the next update. By the way, we got Pitstone hanging out in the Twitch chat. How you doing, Pitstone? Thanks for joining us. I spawned his avatar in here, so you'd have representation there. Coming up next is something about pets. We got the pets thing where you'll be able to actually spawn pets, because that's like something that's been in like a secret feature for the last couple updates. But that's going to be ready to release, and you'll be able to spawn these little things that follow you around. They're pretty ghetto, you know, they walk through walls. They don't have any collision detection or pathfinding, but they will follow you all the way. Wherever you go, they'll follow to hell and back. Be sure to come back. And there's another thing. With the pets, you'll be able to turn into them and walk around as them. So I'm going to demonstrate that right now to the stream because in the future, this might be the solution to these broken avatar faces, right? We might not need the avatar faces if we actually can run around as, 3D models and stuff. So to demonstrate that, the people in the multiplayer session, it's going to look weird to them because it's not like a finished feature yet, but the people in the stream will be able to see it. Okay, I am Marty McFly. I could walk around. I look a little bit less dopey than running around like I'm holding an invisible gravity gun. I'm actually a pet, and here's what that means. You see how now I'm not Marty McFly. Now I'm me again, but I could still control Marty McFly and tell him where to go. He walks kind of fast. That'll be improved. And so he's like a pet, and I could make him follow you around, and he keeps his distance, just like a dog. He could be like a dog too. But if you could also turn into him, and then this is the play as pet mode, which is how we'll have avatars in multiplayer. And just to show you real quick, I'm going to run around as a dog to show that, like, hey, you can do other things that aren't humans. Again, these are all like beta things. They're not polished up. You're not going to have to go to the console to turn it into a pet. There's going to be a menu and everything to do it. But I am a dog running around. It is awesome. You can be a crocodile. That's the last one I'll show before I get back up there on stage and get back to on topic. Oh my God, I'm a crocodile. And there's actually one more I want to show out here. I need to do it out here because I'm going to turn it into an elephant or a rhino. Let's do the rhino. Hey, somebody new joined. And we all have broken faces right now, so I got to check the menu to see who it is. It's Andy effing Winslow. What's up? Welcome to the show. All right, so maybe I'll just finish this stream here as the rhino. Man, it's hard to point this thing the way that I want. What's up, Andy? Okay, so the pets, that's going to be a menu that you'll be able to access, and hopefully you'll be at least be able to use them in single player. I don't know if I'll have it all plugged into multiplayer by then, but the pets are coming, and this stuff will be coming out in maybe a month and a half after everything's all implemented and cleaned up, because there's more than just pets. There's also some improvements to the vehicles, the vehicle menu. Vehicles works. It's a couple updates ago, but it was just kind of hard because you had to get the vehicles yourself. But there will be a menu that lets you kind of collect your vehicles and spawn them whenever you want and drive around. That will be a single player only thing. You'll be able to use them in multiplayer, but the vehicles themselves, those kind, won't be synced. But they're still real fun, and everybody can drive around on their own. And those are cool source engine vehicles that have physics on their tires and everything. Okay, the other big thing that's going to be in this next development cycle is VR. Half-Life 2 VR guys, they gave me permission, they gave me access to implement VR the same way that they did into Half-Life 2 VR, but into AArcade. So I just got to get good, which involves writing a warper, or wrapper, one of those, that's going to take us from DX9 to Vulkan. So there's a lot of stuff that I got to be looking into there, because I got to make sure that we can still use reshade and all that, at least when we're not in VR mode. But VR is the other huge feature that's coming up with the next development cycle. So hopefully all that works out well and in a timely fashion. That covers the AArcade development part of the meetup here. And now we're getting into the other part of the meetup, where it's kind of like a show and tell, where everybody talks about like the hard mode things that they're doing in AArcade that are AArcade related, and we kind of help each other out and just check out the stuff that we do. By hard mode, I mean anything that requires a tool outside of AArcade, like Blender or Hammer or anything that's just difficult to do because you can't just do it from a menu. It's awesome to do stuff inside of AArcade, building arcades, just like spawning things and all that. Most of that's pretty self-explanatory, though, and we can help out in the Discord for that. This one, we mostly talk about really nerdy hard mode stuff, and that's kind of just like a disclaimer in the front before we start talking about Hammer and particle systems and lighting and entity logic and all that kind of stuff. So let's move into that. And Eko over here will have some feedback on some of the stuff we're going to be scrolling past, because we had the Hammer Jam last week. Hammer Jam is when everybody who participates makes a map that is loosely based around a theme. We try some stuff out. It's kind of like an experimental thing. We share some of the process, like work in progress videos and things. And then afterwards, we get together and check out what we built, like a game jam, except for in Hammer. Last theme was Travel Jam, so making any jam based around traveling. and let's show some of what we did. So I've been talking for a while. So instead of starting with my stuff, let's start with Eko's stuff. And then we'll look at my stuff, and then we'll go and visit Eko's map, which has a lot of optical illusions and stuff, I believe. So let's scroll through the screenshots, and Eko could talk us through a little bit of what we're looking at.
I can't see what you see, though.
If you're looking at the Twitch, you can. And if you click on this screen right here, you can see the Twitch. If you want to do it all in game, or just tab or something. But I'm looking at the whip, the first ones, the first screenshots that you posted of your Hammer Jam stuff. By the way, if you click on a stream on the wall, it will actually show it on the wall on the big screen too. So like you would even be looking at the same screen, but you'd be looking at the stream through it. It's
not going to be up to sync with me.
It's not supposed to.
So I'm just going to make a guesstimate. I see what you're showing on screen now. Yeah, it was just the first testing.
Okay, so we're looking
really not a whole lot to it. It's just trying to get the torus in.
Yeah,
so basically a long tube in a circle.
That's interesting, because when I first saw this, I thought that it was scrolling materials. I thought it was like a VMT with a material proxy, but that's not the approach that you went for these illusions. And
I think the only way you're going to really see the curve in that is if you do full screen, like full screen. But otherwise, you can't really see the curve.
And here it's...
Which was the whole point. I didn't want anyone to catch the curve and be like, oh, it's like something out there.
And then it's starting to turn into a cylinder, because it started off as a square, and still some pretty crazy textures on it.
Yeah, I didn't really mess with the speed too much. It was still the same speed, and I the tube a little bit more. So the first one was basically the wrap, and then everything goes in the center. Because trying to use a tube as a wrap would just be problematic with leaks. And then the next one, I think that's when I modified the speed and started adding in the measuring textures and started scaling it down.
Yeah, I see that it's far more sane of a scrolling speed. And then this last one looks like all the textures are in place. It looks like the never-ending tube. And just to remind everybody, that is not a tube. It's you're inside of a huge ring, right? Or what? A torus?
Like essentially, yeah, a huge inner tube.
Here it is.
And yeah, that last one I pretty much got the scaling down, got all the textures scaled down and all. One of the things I had taken out was projected textures. The lighting just wasn't working with moving objects, so I took that out and switched over to just lights on every junction, so that way the shadows weren't really noticeable and you couldn't really see the curve.
Okay, so I've now moved down to the most recent ones that you posted today, and I'll go through them in order. Even though the rain is the one that I want to click on.
The zip is the first one, too. Discord's an asshole and doesn't want anything over 25 megabytes, so I zipped it.
Okay, so I see that the lighting hasn't been adjusted. Oh, there's cars and stuff in the thing that's floating past. Alice in Wonderland, which it's a bit of a spoiler that we're looking at the dev stuff before we go there, but it is Alice in Wonderland themed when we get there.
Yeah, I didn't go too heavy on the props out there. That was just like a demonstration, proof of concept thing.
And because you're actually traveling through a giant coin, a giant ring, you don't have to worry about like spawning stuff that floats by and then despawns and then spawns in front of you. Those are actually just things that are sitting in the ring, right? And if you wait long enough, you'll loop around and go past the same stuff again.
Yeah, eventually the idea was to add some unique parts in it so you know where you're at. Like one of the parts you can't see is that there's a bunch of clocks before you stop on that area, but you have to make a whole loop on that, and that's going to take 12 minutes.
Okay, so I'm looking at the fog that's happening here, and at first I thought that it was scrolling textures and fog that had wind applied to it. But how did you do this fog? Is it in the giant ring sector or area, or is it where the player's at? And how does it move?
Yeah, it's in the whole ring. I mean, well, actually, not the whole ring. Otherwise, there'd be performance issues. I had to segment the fog and essentially turn them off and on depending on which area you're in. But yeah, that was mostly for covering up the bottom and kind of adding that mist on the side, you know, like you fall in a tunnel and you got a little bit of mist coming out of the ground.
Okay, now part of the ring is the texturing. I moved on to the next video. We're seeing the clock and some of the stuff in the player area here. The texturing of the ring, like one of the surfaces is at an angle. Is that on purpose? Or did that just happen because of however you made that ring? Which I don't know how you made the ring. If that's all brushwork, that's a trip.
The ring? Are you talking about the torus?
Yes. It's like you're inside of a ring, you know, like a sonic ring.
I gotcha. Well, the one that you're showing now, that one was just kind of demonstrating the floating objects. Everything kind of floats a little bit, not too much to kind of make it jarring, but just enough to put you in that immersion.
Yeah, it's cool. They're kind of like bobbing up and forth, right? Back and forth.
Yeah, the stuff that where you normally put stuff on, like the walls that are vertical, those just go up and down. Otherwise, it's just gonna mess up what you put on it. And you got a little method that you added Anarchy Arcade to move props and whatnot. I didn't do that for this one because they constantly move, and I think if you added that one, it just get confusing is all, just too technical.
Yeah, sometimes if it's just like a specific thing you need bobbing up and down, just doing it in Hammer. I mean, if you got the Hammer skills, might as well use Hammer. The cool thing about doing the attachment volume thing is people that don't use Hammer can still attach things, which sometimes is cool. But moved on to that video with the optical illusion of going through the door now.
Yeah, that one I was trying to demonstrate how it locks into place before you actually stop, so that way, well, later on, I would be adding some other stuff to it, so it would actually line up. Otherwise, I just kind of put a door down in a spot where you can just walk out. Something pretty cheap.
I'll let everybody know that I did check out this map earlier beforehand, and I died in this room. So when we go on the field trip, watch out. You know, it's dangerous. So just watch your step.
Yeah, one thing that sucks about the skybox is that it doesn't exactly cover anything up. So if you're gonna have a platform come out from underneath that, it'd still show it, and that's why I moved it to the other side, and you just hopped off and died.
Yep. Skybox always renders behind stuff. That is its power. It looks really weird.
And it does the same thing for no draw too, so kind of fucked either way.
Now this is that green rain stuff, and it is a trip. Excuse me, y'all.
Yeah, if I was gonna do something like the Matrix, I'd do something with a different texture, but this is just kind of proof of concept. Basically, I gave up on funk precipitation. It was just way too laggy, and two, it was barely any rain. So I went with that one and just went crazy with it and just put it everywhere.
So what is that? What did you use to do that?
It's just a 1x1 brush with a moving texture.
A moving texture? I don't understand that because those raindrops look 3D to me. You're telling me that those raindrops aren't cubes that are actually moving through space? It's just a texture?
Yeah, it's just a texture. You're walking through a bunch of brushes on that one.
But there's no moving brushes.
No, well, objects aren't moving, but the texture is. It's a transparent texture with a, well, was intended as a laser, but I just threw that in for now.
I'm seeing 3D objects move past the screen that aren't textures. I could see the bottom of the cube.
Yeah, if you slow it down, you can.
I can see the bottom of the cube as the rain is falling, and I can see the top of it, like when it's above, and then I can see the top of the cube when it falls below the screen. You can't see that on textures, can you?
Well, if you look closer, you can see it only has 4 sides. It doesn't have 6. But you have to be looking straight up, which I do kind of do in the video.
I mean, just when you're looking at straight at it, I'm seeing 3D objects fall. So I'm wondering what this texture looks like. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I'm seeing the bottom of like a little cube, and then it looks like the little cube's falling past it, and then I see the top of the little cube. That's what blew my mind. It looks unmistakably like there's hundreds of actual 3D cubes falling, and I still have no idea how you pulled it off with the texture. That's interesting. Good job.
Well, the thing with this one, everything's kind of straight and on grid, so if you look at certain angles, you can see the rows.
This is the Matrix room. That mirror blows my mind. I didn't know you could do mirrors at that angle, and then you just walked into it. So I don't know how many levels of Minecraft.
Yeah, that one's kind of a crappy one. There's really nothing to show on that one, except how bad Source fails at that.
It's actually honestly impressive, that angled mirror. That's a really nice effect, and I didn't know that was possible.
Honestly, it'd be nice if it had reflections of reflections in Valve or in Source. I mean, if you can make some rooms that were just mirror rooms, that'd be fucking awesome.
Okay, and then this zip. What is in that zip? Is it like the BSP or something?
I guess that was it.
You posted a zip that was 22 megs. What's in there?
Well, that was the first one.
It's the map that's in there, or is it videos? What's in the zip?
It's a video.
Okay, is it the videos that we just watched already?
No, it's the first one.
We haven't watched it yet, though. And it's not going to show up in Discord while it's zipped, I guess.
Yeah, and I couldn't make it smaller.
Okay, it's the intro. I'm just watching it. I downloaded it and I'm just watching it. We're going to do this. We're all going to go here after this part of the meetup, and we're going to go down the...
Oh yeah, do you have like a piece of software that smooths the mouse movement?
Oh yeah, if you're talking about how to record like smooth camera movements, we could do a whole little mini segment of that, which was kind of what we were talking about earlier with the camera clips. But the other thing you could do is smooth mouse, which is awesome. Not mouse though. You need a gamepad. Do you have a gamepad?
Kinda. It's old as fuck though.
It may work as long as Source recognizes it. Okay, so let's. I think that concludes the behind the scenes part of looking at Eko's Hammer Jam submission. I'll be talking about my behind the scenes next, and then we'll go to Eko's map. But I just want to mention Zaf made something pretty cool. I couldn't find any screenshots of it. He live streamed it, which was awesome. He made an apartment, and his plan was to make it travel-based. It was going to be time travel-based. He was going to make the same apartment in 3 different eras. So he got like one of the apartments. You want to get high? But then I think that he went and played Zoo Tycoon or something, I say as I'm a rhino. And he never got back to it. I wish he would have shared screenshots because it wasn't a failure. You know, he had one of them done. He didn't finish the whole vision, but it was still a pretty nice apartment that he put up there. He had doors that were rotating, some sliding doors. It was the whole thing. So there's Zaf's honorable mention. Let's look into some of mine. I'll start with the video that is the final product. I had a ridiculous vision of doing a thing where story-driven RPG with quests all over it, where you are this girl that wakes up, gets out of her apartment after doing a bunch of mini quests, goes down the street, finally uses the bus ticket that you unlock on quest 17, take the bus to work, and work would be a laundromat with an arcade. I adapted that because we only had a couple days, and this is what I ended up with. I have 0 quests in it, so it's all kind of make-believe. But I did get, starting in the apartment, I did the side-scroller thing, which I've been wanting to do for a while. I did the bus that you get on, and here is the big sequence coming up. It's the travel sequence. This sequence actually lasts forever. I could stand over there, and I was going to have a quest on the bus where you actually had to talk to people that were sitting on the bus. I was going to do that, attach them to the trigger thing so that I could put whatever I wanted on the bus and spawn it in the game. But instead, you're only here for exactly 8 seconds, and then the car in front of you moves out of the way, and you get to continue to work. Which is a little sad because, I mean, I coded all the stuff, so it's like a conveyor belt can go on forever, but then it was just a set amount of time in the end. But it is what it is. Here I am at work, crossing the street. The bus is going to fade into the fog. Eko suggested that fog. It worked out really well because I had a big challenge with trying to make all that exterior shit. The arcade, the laundromat is based on Arcade Paradise, and then you get to the back, and it becomes the end of the map. And I was thinking I'll put like a bunch of more arcade cabinets down here if I reuse this map in the future, and this is where I'll hang out at. So, let me go and show some of the behind the scenes screenshots from that. What up, Gnarly Dude? Gnarly Dude just joined the chat. Okay, this 4-part screenshot, it shows some cutaways and some hammer screenshots. To do the side-scrolling stuff, I actually, I had a material that was just a black material, and it was unlit generic, or unlit, whatever the shader's called. That way, it didn't take shadows. There was no brights part of it, unless it was behind fog. So it was just solid black. And with that, I made a room, and I just kind of cut the room, and then made walls that used that texture. So I still had to make like a big empty room out of brushes and all that. But in the end, when you're actually playing it, you can't see all that, and it kind of just looks like it's the void and the thing is floating in front of you, which is the effect that I wanted to do. There's a couple of ways to achieve that effect in Source. There's top-down games like Alien Swarm and a bunch of stuff, but I went with this because it was super easy, and I didn't have to program anything to do it. It was just hammer stuff. I got these triggers next to the doors that open them when you get near them. I didn't do anything fancy for making you side scroll. You just have to just walk sideways. You just have to make that decision as a player. Otherwise you walk into the void and fall off the map. I had a building that you were inside of in the middle of a city, which was working out good. You know, I had the light peering through my windows. But then when I actually made the exterior of the city, the stuff that you saw through the window looked like crap. My city doesn't look as good as the skybox that I had. So I did this thing where I ended up patching up the windows with the 3D skybox texture so that from the inside you see the skybox image, And then when you go outside, you see the 3D skybox with a different 2D skybox behind it. Because at that point, I wanted to show a solid white skybox, not the actual image. So I built a 3D skybox sector. I put a cube in there that had an unlit white texture. It was a funk brush that was disabled by default. So when you were running around inside the apartment looking out the window, that brush was disabled, so you saw the actual skybox. Then when you went outside, did an ad break just cut off my VOD for 30 seconds? Thank you, Twitch. That's going to be in the VOD? No, they'll edit that out. Okay, I'm not thinking fourth dimensionally. Anyways, when you walk outside, it enables that funk brush and it blocks out the image and you just see the white cube map or the white cube, which blends into the fog. And here's some of the city. I should have been showing this when I was talking about the city that shows the fog. The city was ridiculous. So I was like, oh, I'm going to make a side scroller. I won't have to make too much of the city. But the thing is, I have you walk outside and turn the corner, and like you turn 90 degrees in a couple places when you get outside. And because of that, the benefit of it being a side scroller went out the window. I still had to make the whole effing city from like every street. I had to make an extended view because you could see it from certain angles after the camera rotated. So I had to make blocks and blocks of this city, and there was no way I was going to do that in time. So I ended up doing the whitewash city, just painting everything white. Throwing the model, the window everywhere. I had a model set, like an art asset set of like 5 different things: palm tree, cars, fire hydrant, door, awning, billboard. And I would scale them smaller and smaller as they got towards the end of the street for forced perspective. I didn't do converging parallel lines, though, which you're supposed to do when you do the smaller and smaller stuff. So it's a little weird. It's like the street stays the same width, but the buildings get smaller and smaller, but it still looks all right. I didn't want to deal with all the off grid vertices if I actually did the converging parallel lines. Okay, so you walk through the ridiculous city. You get on the bus. The bus just worked out as a funk train. Then it fades black and you load into what looks like this in Hammer. It's the never-ending cycle of shit that spawns. All the cars that are going the same direction of you are funk doors. Similar, I think, to how Eko pulled off his floating furniture. Because the cars are kind of floating. The cars that are going the same direction. They're floating back and forth instead of up and down. So they go to their frame, and then they go back to their first frame, and then they go to their first frame. Their other frame. When I do that Eko, I use exclamation mark self, I believe. I use one of those weird keywords as like the target of what to trigger. Do you do that too, or do you name your door? Well, it's something to think about.
I've done it before. I forgot for which though.
Yeah, and it's hard to find what the special things are, right? There's exclamation mark player, exclamation mark activator. I asked ChatGPT, and it told me. I'm sure it's on the wiki somewhere too. But yeah, there's like 5 or 6 of these special things that come in handy sometimes. And sometimes they help you avoid having to name your entities at all. So
yeah, it's buried somewhere deep in the documentation. I think it's somewhere in like add output. I think it digs into it.
It's not add output. That does something super advanced, but it's a bit different.
Yeah, but I know it touches on it, and you can probably find it from there. I'm just not sure exactly where you find all the.
So these things I'm talking about they're like aliases for entities. So it's like self always chooses the player activator. It depends on what the message is. It tells you.
Yeah, they're reserved words.
Yeah. While add output does something different, but it's super so advanced that I've never had to use add output in my effing life. Not that comes to mind. And if I did use it, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just following a tutorial. Because I couldn't tell you what add output does specifically. I just know that usually it's not needed.
It just adds an output.
But what's an output? I don't know. I mean, I use this stuff all the time. But
the opposite of an input.
Oh, like you could add a custom message or something? Like, yeah.
Like instead of adding static output, you can basically add a dynamic output in a sense. I don't think there's remove output though, which kind of makes me wait a little bit.
Okay, so here's a behind-the-scenes breaking the illusion shot of my freeway loop. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the skybox is a spinning sky sphere that I AI generated. It was a pain in the ass to generate one like this because no game uses a freaking circle of buildings this way because it's not the best illusion. But I eventually, using Blockade Labs and drawing a circle on the ground and drawing little buildings along the entire circle, it finally generated one that was kind of like what I needed. And I just spun it. It looks bad from this angle, but when you're actually looking at it on the road with all the stuff in front of it, it's not too bad. Also, this shows the oncoming traffic, which after I made... the oncoming traffic is like a... it's on a circular loop. It goes down, and then they just fly backwards like in reverse underneath the road, and then they go again. It works. I don't think that was the best way to do it, because I could have teleported the track train, right? So I didn't need to have any path tracks on the bottom. I could have just made it so when they got to the end, it teleported them back to the beginning, and then they get to go again. I was afraid to do that because all the effing bugs that are associated with track trains, it's like it's better just let them go and not try to move them around, but... that probably would have worked. I did have to do one weird thing because things were getting all screwed up. If I had two path tracks really close to each other, the track train would skip a path track and hit the other track if it was going super fast. And my vehicles are going super fast, so I was running into those errors with track train, those weird bugs. So what I ended up doing is some of the paths on the bottom. When the things go through the path track, it teleports them to the path track because it fires the past event like after it's already past it, and it might be way past it. So I just teleport it back, and that's why on the bottom you see a lot of the models stuttering, like they go then they snap back a little bit. You don't see that happening on the top, and that's because on the top I don't do that at all. So I only kind of resync everything on the bottom, and then it just goes wild on the top. And then it resyncs when it gets back to the bottom. The other thing is all the crap, like the streetlights and the other stuff, those work pretty much the same way as the car, just a different speed. However, each component is randomized each time that it goes through the loop. So you'll see that sometimes there's a whole bunch of construction equipment, but then when that segment gets to the end, right before you see it, it changes and all the construction equipment's gone and the billboard's gone. And it's just completely different little segment. It's actually the same segment, but there's up to 3 different layers of props. So they all have the same name, right? Like optional prop layer A, optional prop layer B, and I just label a bunch of entities with the same name. And then when the track train passes that thing where it starts to go to the loop, it just does a math random counter. I don't remember the technical thing, but it just generates a random number that's either 0 or 1, and it does that for each of the layers and decides what it's going to show versus what it's not going to show. And it does that for each track. I didn't use it extensively for some of the pieces of track. And I could have done a hell of a lot more with this thing. I could have made a tunnel that you go through and all kinds of weird shit, but this is what I ended up with. And then the last thing I have to talk about with my submission is the laundromat and the side-scroller part at the end. I enjoyed making the cutaway interiors. I did not enjoy making the exteriors. I like how the exteriors turned out, but it stressed me out to make the exteriors. There was way too many exteriors, and even the way that I did it was a hell of a lot of work. Wasn't the most fun, but the inside's a lot of fun. And I'll probably make some more maps that are side-scrollers, but just the insides, like these screenshots that I'm showing. Okay, we're just about ready for voyaging into Eko's map. I think that we are ready. Are you here, Eko? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I just re-uploaded it just in case I didn't have the latest changes.
All right. So that was my submission. I have that video on my Twitter. It's linked it's on YouTube, but I linked to it on Twitter. If anybody wants to watch that video again, we're not going to be going to my map because it's really weird. And that's saying a lot because Echo's map, as you'll see, is pretty effing weird too. But his works in multiplayer. Mine, like I was talking about, you have to just decide to walk sideways. If you don't do that, you're going to fall off the map and everything gets super weird. So it's best left in screenshots. We're about to take off into Echo's map, but I wanted to point out that in the back of the Meetup building here, we got the materials wall, materials section that has a bunch of shiny materials with normal maps and reflections and stuff. They are in your download folder if you join today. So if you use Hammer, it is possible to use these in the maps that you make. You probably should seek a little bit of help in the Discord when you try to do that, because we've got to tell you about cube maps and that kind of stuff, but you can use these.
Yeah, you didn't really go over those materials.
I didn't catch that. Could you repeat that?
I was saying you didn't really go over those materials earlier. Well, until now.
Those materials, I hadn't.
Were those?
They've been there for a while. I should make another room.
Looked like you were messing around with them. I thought you just added them.
Okay, are we ready to join your map now?
Yeah, you can join one.
All right. And you
I'm not sure if you're gonna get the latest changes, so I guess we'll test that out.
Yes, sir. You rehosted. Okay. That should be enough. When I join, you should download it again. If not, I'll just, leave and come back. It is working. It's downloading the new version of the map. Now it's much smaller this time because it doesn't re-download all the referenced files. It just re-downloads the BSP. Hello, Echo. Oh, somebody else is here. Oh my God, I see your face now. Andy Winslow's here. What's up, Andy?
I didn't restart or anything.
It's because I left. It was me that had to restart. It had your thing cached, I believe, and that's why it didn't work when you rejoined.
I definitely want to do something more out here, though. I mean, I was just getting like proof of concept or the feel of it.
Do you mind if I paint your skybox real quick to see what it might look like?
It's just a box, really. Just big enough to keep the trees in.
Ooh, I went with like a really dark blue sky. I think it looks nice. It's like evening mode.
Oh, I don't even have all that. I thought you were talking about actually painting the texture.
Well, I did. It's just I've guessed, and the painted textures aren't synced. But on my screen,
Is that good? Oh, maybe that's why the skybox wasn't working for me. Because what I was trying to do was change the skybox with the command. Because when you go into the matrix area, I tried setting it up as a dark thunder area, but I couldn't switch skyboxes, and I just said screw it.
When you were trying to switch the skybox, were you trying to do it through like the material painting AArcade commands or stuff that normally?
No, I think it was like SB skybox.
Yeah, I have no idea how well that works. I've never tried it. Now I'm interested. So I mean, post in the Discord.
Well, it's in the documentation saying that's how you would test what skybox you'd want.
All right, we got Mixie in. Nice. Okay. So they can't hear. I think they can hear. I don't know. I'll type out the instructions for the sequence of buttons that we have to press when we get to that point.
You know, there's a good chance the whole skybox thing won't work with my maps anymore, man. Because one of the things I wanted to change up is like adding that orbital concept. So you'd actually see stuff floating out in space.
Okay, I'm gonna put the music on. I'll put it on low, and then I'll follow you down the rabbit hole.
But I think that's going to be a whole different project, because like I'm going to have to decorate that thing and then turn it into an instance and share it across other maps.
It's just a rabbit with a waistcoat and a watch. Oh, my fearing whiskies. I'm late.
But yeah, to get to the next area, you just kind of drop down in the hole.
Please, sir. I'm late. For a very important date. No time to say hello. Goodbye. I'm late. It must be awfully important, like a party or something. Mr. Rabbit, wait! No. I'm overdue. I'm really in a
Are you live
no
hosting?
time to say goodbye. Hello, I'm late.
Because you
I thought it was.
took your numbers away, and now I don't even know what to press.
Oh yeah, this is the one where I change it. Green is to go, red is to stop. And so what you were pushing was the first purple button on the left, and then pressing the red button. So I'm just going to push the first purple button on the left for now, so it at least stops on the first area.
Oh, it's so painful whenever I see people stuck inside of each other. That's totally my fault. It's I shame AArcade by having people stuck inside of each other. Otherwise, we can't like click on each other though. You gotta be solid. I gotta figure out a better. ChatGPT could help me find a better solution. Okay, we're all uncluster F'd and we're standing in the wormhole. So I do kind of see the curvature. You're right, because this is all full screen now. The new normal was curving to the right.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that too, because when I first set up the thing, I was using a rotating object, and so I just keep going in a circle, pretty consistent. The only thing is that when you have it like that in a torus with a really basic shape, because you can't really go too complex with this, you can definitely see the curve, and the walls will be going back and forth because the shape and all. So eventually I opted for a path track, and so that way I can center it directly down the tube, and then when it makes the turn, it can kind of ease in and ease out. So when you make that turn, you can see it kind of shift a little bit. So I don't know, I think it kind of produces a good effect out of it, even though it's kind of sloppy.
So this isn't a funk rotating, it's a path track, but it mostly rotates?
There's a funk rotate that's attached to the train track.
So the torus, the coin, is that spinning, or is there a camera going through it? There's a camera going through it.
Yeah, that's not spinning.
Nice.
I was gonna have that spin, although that probably would have been better since the sky camera can't really do this in other games.
Yeah, I hear people from other games, they're always criticize Source, like, why would you use a 3D skybox? Just make a gigantic map. To that, I always chuckle a little bit.
But then I'm stuck with the same problem as before. If I was just to have it rotating on the torus, it would just be bouncing back and forth on the walls. Unlike if I had a path track, I can keep it a little consistent.
Now, this is Alice in Wonderland, so on the walls, we should be imagining it's like dirt texture, right?
Yeah, that was kind of the idea. I got a bunch of other textures I can add illusions to it, but I didn't even mess with that yet.
This is like
Dude, that's going to be so many textures, though.
We're falling through the rabbit hole.
Or brushes, I should say.
You know what might be interesting is if you had like, actually, I could probably.
Okay, the stop should be right here.
Like, if I paint one of these doors, it would paint the tunnel also, whatever texture.
And the thing about this is that if you guys don't get this stop, we're still hanging out in here.
Okay.
So like none of this, like for me, it just stopped. I don't know about you guys, but we're still in here.
Let's
So,
move.
that was one thing. I wanted to avoid, if I was going to have anything move, I wanted to keep it from being the player, because otherwise there's just going to be a whole bunch of sync issues.
Yeah.
And I noticed that with your bus, like if we both hopped on at the same time, we'd both be clipping into each other.
Yeah, and it's not just Anarchy Arcade. Well, that's mostly because Anarchy Arcade multiplayer, right? For the people watching, and for the people in here, if you didn't know about it, which why would you? Anarchy Arcade's not really Source Engine multiplayer. There is no Source Engine multiplayer session happening. We're actually all just synced through some crap that I wrote in the JavaScript file, which is really, really loosely synced. Like, it's hard to tell when you're standing around watching videos together, but people are actually like a good half second away from where you see them at. So, like, if you're trying to shoot them in the head, you know instantly that things weren't synced. But anyways, the other thing that's not synced is like the position of doors and stuff. So, yeah, when the bus drives away and you're actually standing on it, it gets weird. But here's the other thing. Even in regular Source Engine games, that is always like a huge problem. Moving platforms, standing on moving platforms, and network issues with standing on moving platforms, not just for other players, but for yourself too. And I've seen maps do a lot of interesting things to get around that. And just the one thing that comes to mind is the Matrix lobby map. There's a Matrix lobby map on Source. It's awesome. I think it's Counter-Strike. There's an elevator in it. The elevator looks and feels awesome when you use it. You can stand it with your friends and all that. But when you look at the map, the elevator just moves like 5 feet to the side. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. It doesn't go very far at all. It just like very slowly moves, just a little bit enough to like open up the door to the next scene. And it's enough to pull off the illusion. That always stuck out in my mind. Okay, but speaking of illusionary doors, we got to explain, I'll type it out in the chat, how we get through this. So what buttons do we have to press to open up that door?
If you're looking at it from with the door on your left, it'd be the first button on the left. I mean, the first purple button on the left, and then you push the red button, it'll open the door.
Could you spawn something on the buttons, like near the buttons we're supposed to press, like last time?
Yeah, the problem is this thing's floating, so it doesn't carry the object.
Yeah.
That's why I colored the buttons, because it was too difficult to explain it. Before they were just all purple. Also typed it out in chat.
If you can't spawn it, I could type it out, but like when you say first purple one, dude, nobody's gonna know what the first purple one is unless you spawn something on. We could say the purple one with the object next to it, because there's 2 purple ones that could be first.
That's why I was saying the first purple button on the left.
Just spawn a hot dog next to the one you're and I'll be like, press the button next to the hot dog and then press the run. Hey, somebody figured it out.
Okay, he got it.
This is the correct purple button. Then press the red button.
Oh, you still stuck? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't want to no clip when I did the buttons. Oh, this room is awesome with us in here. The reshade makes everybody have a dramatic effect on the walls. It's cool. It's like we're in heaven.
Try not to teleport at the same time.
Oh.
Because we all get stuck.
I forgot about this room. These are not a texture. These are 3D objects. They have a texture on them.
You have any idea how much that would lag this thing if I had all those objects moving?
Yeah, it's amazing that it's not lagging it.
That's just a texture, for sure.
No.
It looks more like acid rain.
I'm watching the 3D object move past my screen. I know that's not a texture.
But I just kind of threw this in here just to have something to go to. Otherwise, just having that hole was just kind of lame.
Yeah, when you look straight down, you can see each individual cube. And you can see straight through the raindrops when you look all the way down. Because it's like the top surface of the cubes don't have the texture on them or something.
Yeah, I think I went a little overboard on this.
So honestly, I don't understand what you mean when you say it's a texture. Because I'm looking at 3D objects. There's textures in use, but what is impressive to me is that every one of these raindrops is 3D. It's mind-blowing.
Maybe I should take a screenshot of it then.
You should share the VMF, because I want to put this in my maps. It doesn't lag me at all. It is awesome.
Yeah, that's why I opted for it too.
So it's not
Because like I was saying with the precipitation one, it was just really bad.
I'm upset now that you were trying to tell me that this is a texture. This is not a texture. I'm gonna take you to court on this, man. I'm gonna take you to fucking hammer court. These are 3D objects. I know vertices when I see them.
Hold on, I'll take a screenshot.
I watched them fly past my screen 144 frames per second. million words per picture. 1,000 words. It's lots of words. I think I know what you mean now. I think I know what you mean. They are 3D, but it's like a whole bunch of little pillars we're walking through. It's a whole bunch of little pillars that we're walking through. And that does reduce the amount of objects. So I am seeing vertices, but I am not seeing as many vertices as I thought that I was seeing. Each column of rain only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 vertices. And it has textures
Okay, I
on
posted the
that
screenshot.
scroll.
But yeah, that's what I did.
That's still pretty insane. I'm still looking at a lot of individual pillars. But yeah, it looks like it's way more than it actually is. This turned out great, and that approach is nuts. And it is a texture. I mean, there's vertices too, but nowhere near as many as I thought I was seeing.
Yeah, it doesn't leg anything down at all. I mean, the only thing that legs it down is the dust clouds up there. And I was trying to make it thick, and it still didn't. Bro, even at 99 opacity, it still doesn't show up thick.
It feels like it's following me around, but that's probably just an optical illusion. Like when I move to the side, it kind of feels like the rain's following me, but it's not, is it? That's trippy.
It would be kind of cool if I had a splash effect, but wow, that would be too much.
I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be. It's just
I kind of thought that would be overbearing.
Maybe
Damn.
You could do
like,
the splash as like a sprite and do a row of splashes or something weird like that. Okay, moving on. Thank you for.
Damn, that does turn out pretty good.
Thanks for explaining that approach that you took. 'Cause that is some trippy rain.
Well, I remember Zap used the participation one, and it turned out pretty good, but for some reason mine just was not. Oh yeah, that's a little idea I had. I was gonna add the deja vu part here.
Played it on mute so we wouldn't get the VOD muted. Oh shit, it's the mirror room. This brick texture looks pretty nice with this floor texture. Let's go well together.
It's just a Half-Life texture too.
Yeah.
This is like the most common texture, isn't it?
It's a nice one. I'm sure I've used it before.
I've never seen this texture a lot in the documentation, so that's why. Well, yeah, I kind of threw this big video up just to kind of give people the hint, so if they ever got stuck in here, if you didn't know about the mirrors, you won't be able to get back. So.
Oh my god, my VOD died.
I have a video where he sticks his finger in the mirror and pulls it up and kind of sticks in there.
Hang on, VOD. I got one shot at fixing you. Let's take it. Otherwise, we're going to have to cut the VOD here.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually not a tube. It's a it's an angled square. So I was trying to mess with the mirrors, see if I can actually get it to function right.
Mic check. There we go.
So instead of having two mirrors
We're back.
shine at each other, which was always just causing problems, it had two mirrors at like a 90-degree angle.
Okay. Thank you for the tour. Is there a way to get back to the first area?
Yeah, there is actually. You just push the green button and the red button.
Oh my god. I didn't know that that little bridge could take you anywhere but that one place. Okay.
So yeah, I kind of set up a little pattern with those buttons just for development purposes.
Awesome. Like, I feel like I need to congratulate you for finishing this for the Hammer Jam. Hammer Jams ain't easy. I mean, it's crunch. I don't know why we bring it upon ourselves, but they're also fun. And finishing anything or getting something near, like, visitable within that span is an achievement. This is a nice one.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to take this concept, though. I got 3 more rooms to fill out, but yeah, I don't know.
All right, y'all. Thank you for coming with us, going on the tour. We're faceless here today, but we got Mexi. We got Andy Winslow currently watching the Alice video. And we got
Can you hear me?
EkoJr. Eko has his face on because Eko's like that.
Can you hear me?
Andy, I believe, can hear us in the Discord. Or the stream, one of the two.
Okay, I wasn't sure if something messed up.
Okay. So once again, thanks for the tour.
Although if you guys really want to see scrolling textures, there's that one map I was showing you. I'm going to redo some things on that one since I created another map for dev testing with all the textures.
Cool, yeah.
Which, I don't know if I want to show you that or not. There's some cool shit in that.
You know what Eko's talking about is there's another group project that's going on, which, by the way, Mexi is also participating in. And anybody out there that wants to get into Hammer, you don't have to be good at Hammer or anything. Just got to want to try, and then we can make it work. We actually picked an art style that's easy for people to work with. You just got to paint everything white. Everybody can do that. But yeah, it is a group city block. It's called the Anarchyville. That's what we're calling it, right? And there's like 5 or 6 of us. We each get one building. We make an exterior, we make an interior, and a special door that goes between it. And that's what Eko's talking about. He's got a cool map.
Wait, you saying that was really the theme? Paint everything white?
Yeah, that's why we went with that art style, so everybody could participate.
Because I wasn't even trying to follow that art style. I was just doing my own thing.
Oh, for the exterior. I don't think you've done anything on the exterior yet, have you? But the
well, at least mine's black on the inside, mostly.
Yeah, the inside you can do whatever you want. I mean, you kind of wanted to make it feel like it's the outside. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked here, so let's cut this VOD here. This has been the tour and the Anarchy Arcade Meetup. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I'll be coming back at you with perhaps the same group here and a few more people. Maybe next month, middle of next month at some point, when that update gets ready with the pets and some vehicles and some progress in the VR, if not figuring it all out by then. I will see y'all later. Cut the VOD.